Hey, Mikey, happy first anniversary on the mic of this podcast. I can't believe we've made it an entire year. Who would have thought two people with a couple of microphones and far too many opinions could stick with it this long? It's been an incredible journey from the many times I forgot to press record to the 20-minute debate on whether a hot dog is a sandwich. And we lost a lot of listeners in that one. Seriously, we were like 10 minutes, maybe more, into the interview with DeAndre on episode 15 before I realized that we weren't actually recording. But look at us now, 12 months in, much better audio quality, and still no idea what the hell we're doing most of the time.
But we're still doing it.
We're still doing it. We hung in there. Here's to another year of questionable takes, bad jokes, technical shit, and hoping no one fact checks or copyright checks us. Thanks to everyone who listened and stuck around. Either you really love us or you just can't figure out how to unsubscribe.
Or it's such a train wreck that you can't stop listening.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 32 of Mr. Robin's Hood podcast. This one is very special as it marks 1 year for Mr. Robin's Hood podcast. We've titled this, How Did We Get Here? Probably a lot of people would like to know that. I'm Mr. Robin.
I think I'm one of them.
I'm Robin Hohweiler, or Mr. Robin to you, a generally sleep-deprived but keen observer of weird friggin' human behavior. I'm joined as always by my always lovely collaborative partner, co-conspirator, and all-around best pal, Mikel Mauree Robinson, known also in the podcast uni as Mikey-on-the-Mic. Enough of that. Mikey is best known as an expert in the field of etymology, who makes up words heretofore unknown to humanity. For those of you who may not know the word, an etymologist is a person who studies the origin and history of words. In Mikey's case, though, she even goes so far as to invent words that don't actually exist in any language.
But make complete sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Please add that part.
Yeah. For example, just last week, she came up with the word fecalfied. when someone that I'm...
Please, we need some context here.
when someone that I mentioned that to asked me to use it in a sentence, I couldn't. But I did come up with a joke. You ready, Mikey?
Sure, I'm always ready.
Why don't skeletons ever get fecalfied?
I don't.
Because they don't have the guts. Okay, admittedly, that is a thinking person's joke. But I'm dead serious. As far as
no pun intended.
But as far as I've been able to find out, the word fecalfied does not exist in the English language. Well, after today, I'm betting that next year's Oxford Dictionary Word of the Year for 2025 will be fecalfied.
It will be. It'll be the word of the day, too.
Well, okay, maybe just the Urban Dictionary. Or at a minimum, I'll bet it makes it into the National Spelling Bee. And if the young spellers ask for the official to use it in a sentence, I bet they'll tell Mr. Robin's joke. Say hello to our fecalfied audience, Mikey.
Well, hello, fecalfied audience. Which I wouldn't know what that was until he read all of it, because he cuts out all the stuff he doesn't want me to see.
Well, that way I get a more natural reaction.
Well, that's usually the best one for me, but it's just funny. He takes the time to cut it out of there.
And a huge shout out to Cousin Fred at the controls on this fine occasion. Cousin Fred, the man who somehow convinced 2 live-in girlfriends to stick around and not kill him. There's Magdalene, the tow truck driver who can pull you out of a ditch in more ways than one, if you know what I mean. And Gigi, the hairdressing hydrologist who can style your hair while explaining the water cycle. I can't figure out if Cousin Fred is living the dream or starring in a 1-season sitcom no one asked for. But either way, he's proof that life is better with a little chaos and a lot of weirdness.
Speaking of weirdness.
Yes?
Do I have to look at that thing the whole time?
Oh.
Just kidding.
Please, take that back.
No, it's fine. I'm just giving you a hard time. So, we should... That's what you tell me to say. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Master Sergeant.
Senior.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Senior Chief, Master Sergeant. It's all going to be great. Just you wait and see. It's going to turn out better than you think. Butchers it every time.
He does.
But that was probably my best one.
Yeah,
so
it was.
It's the closest to what you actually say.
Yeah.
I usually get.
It's going to be great. You'll
see.
It'll turn out better than you think.
See, that for some reason that's hard for me. I don't know why.
So we started this podcast with a focus on humanities, which we have always,
we've stayed mostly true to. I mean, we've kind of spread it a little thin, so to speak, but...
What the hell are you doing?
Is she in there dancing with a skeleton?
What is she doing?
Speaking of a lot of weirdness, the weird gets weirder. Told you. She was rocking it into the night with that skeleton.
Okay. Well, we started this podcast with the focus on the humanities, which we pretty much held course. But we've been very eclectic about subject matter of these podcasts, and that's readily apparent from, looking over the episode list.
Yeah. I feel like the names of these are deceiving too, though, kind of.
Like, he's looking for a place to crap Archie.
Okay. Really chaotic. This is the best one yet. Happy 1 year.
I'm not editing shit. I'm gonna roll with it.
Welcome to the real world of Mr. Robinson podcast. Yeah, behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
Okay. It's
our finest hour.
So, but I mean, we've it's been a kind of a broad range. We've looked at some really weird stuff, which is kind of interest to us.
Yeah.
We've had some legitimate people come in and do interviews, your grandpa.
Yeah, and we had the archaeologist, then we had Ingrid, and my nose is running real good. Like it's coming out of my snout. It's coming out of my nose.
Go get a Kleenex, will you?
May I be excused?
Absolutely. And while we're waiting for Mikey, to go get a snot rag, we'll sing Bulgarian folk songs. Oh, fortunately, she's back.
Wait. But
To what?
See, your daughter's requesting the famous Elmer-fied Blue Christmas.
I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so poor just thinking about you. Decorations are wet on a queen Christmas tree. Won't be the same, dear, if you're not here with me. Enough of that.
You gotta do the whole song, though. Thank you.
Let's see here.
The whole song. It's a whole
I
thing.
don't have the lyrics.
You know what?
I can remember.
You're going to have to practice that. Just saying. You want me to write you a parody?
No, that's fine.
Come on.
But yeah, so today, for this particular episode 32, our first anniversary, if you've been listening up to this point, yeah, it's getting out of hand, sure, but who cares?
Yeah, that's how we live our life.
We have in-studio guests today. We have the daughter, Veronica Hohweiler.
Who was our first in the working 2024 series.
Right.
Which we did like several, but...
And you know what? That was actually number 5 of all-time downloads.
Ooh.
Podcast. Yeah. It was episode 7, Dark Confessions of a Hollywood Caterer. Even though she wouldn't tell us who she really works for. Maybe we can get her to talk today. And then we also have with us Bob Ray, who is a historian, a good friend. And let's see, Bob?
Bob's also an artist.
Oh,
too.
he is.
Yeah, he's a
fine
artist,
too.
And he has illustrated many of his own books.
And he appeared in episode 12, In Search of the Truth About George Custer's Bowel Habits.
And we still don't have the truth in that.
We do not have the truth.
We're still searching. We're still in search of the truth of that.
So, Bob.
Yes, sir.
He's back.
Are we any closer to learning about George Custer's bowel habits?
Probably not. Hasn't been on the top of my to-do list. Yeah. No pun intended.
Your to-duty.
He's like, I'm not researching that part.
Well, when you were on here before, we had a kind of a lengthy conversation, I think, about where things were with the historic Fort Supply site. Can you give us an update?
Well, yes and no.
Well, I've heard that before.
Things move slowly.
Yes.
When you want them to move faster.
Yeah.
So we are still waiting for that movement.
Yeah.
Another no pun intended.
Perpetual movement.
Okay.
But we'll say we've taken a few steps forward, right, Baba? We've done a few.
Oh,
things.
yes.
Yeah, the state's starting to free up a little bit of cash.
Mm-hmm.
They've sent experts out to look at the old buildings and figure if...
we got water.
We got water.
Huge.
Yeah, the toilets work.
So now, speaking of bowel movements.
Custer's bowel movements. And for anybody that may be listening, it's kind of an inside joke because I used to lead tours out there and at the historic Fort Supply site, which, by the way, is arguably the most important former military site in western Oklahoma. And people would, as I'm leading them around, they wanted to know where George Custer slept. He was there for all of about maybe 3 months. In the winter of 1868 and 1869. And from... the hell was that?
That was Bob's. At least it wasn't his Irish music.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot more obtrusive than that.
Scotland the Brave.
Yeah.
And Bob was the one that kind of told me what to tell him. So when they
not all the time.
He's like, whoa.
With
don't give me that much credit.
So when the tourists would ask me about it, I'd kind of point off towards the Beaver River at the back and say, it was about a mile or so that way. And they would inevitably point out that the house we were standing in front of was called Custer House. But Custer was long since dead before that house was actually built and named Custer House. So I always tried to tell him he and the rest of the 7th were out there.
On the confines of the Beaver River.
On the confines of the Beaver River.
Oh, confines.
And he was probably crapping out there somewhere.
Yeah.
And
he was probably digging a hole and pooping in it.
Yeah.
It's cool. That was what you did then.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of indoor plumbing.
Talked about, yeah. And I talked about various things. It was actually kind of fun leading people around out there. There was a lot of interest we had going, and it kind of started to fall off a little bit because the facilities were just becoming really unusable. I mean, we didn't have restrooms. We'd have to tell them, sorry, we don't have a restroom here. Although we did have water at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, things are moving along because we've got a very good support group.
We do.
Friends of Historic Fort Supply. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be moving at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. We all happen to be a part of that, so let's all bow. But there's more of us. It's not just us three. But we are at the, what our hands are tied a little bit because we're not the only players in the game here.
No, that's true.
So, but we are looking to where we can start hosting tours and having toilets.
Yeah.
Hosting tours and having toilets. That would be a hell of a thing. Tour?
Good.
Toilets. That was good. But in the meantime, while we don't have all that going on, Bob's been writing books here left and right.
Yeah. Let's
so I feel like we need to talk about
book.
that because he's dropped wait, have you dropped 2 since we last talked to you? Was the Reminiscence of Captain
Page,
John Page?
Yeah, was
A Page? Was that before we talked to you or after? I think that one was after.
It may have been. I really don't recollect. My gray hair's getting in the way. There's been a lot of sand through the hourglass here.
Yeah, I got you. But for sure, the Prelude to the Washita that you just dropped, which is a thicker one. Mm-hmm. Some of those other ones were small. I asked Bob once. I said, "Why are those so short books?" He said, "Well, that's all the research I have. That's literally all we know." I was like, "Oh, well, shit."
I have a short attention span too. So.
Well, he adds that later. Thank you for that. But nonetheless, they're great reads, and
Bob does the illustrations.
He does.
If nothing else, they're worth buying for the art.
They are. I actually made Bob do the artwork for the last one. I told him...
Basically, yes, made me do that.
I did. I forced him. I forced his hand, and I'm like, I got to keep this, right? But
you had to get paid something, even though it's not exactly worth anything.
Right.
Well, why don't you kind of give us a synopsis of this latest book?
Okay. This was some research that I'd done when I was involved in post-Civil War, Indian Wars, battlefield archaeology, and I'd come across a place where they had a fight up around west Laverne, and we did a little research up there, and so I thought, well, I'll look into this more since it had to do with the early days of military and American Indian history in northwest Oklahoma. So this was the prelude to the Washita battle in November of 1868. This occurred in early September of 1868. There was an military expedition that was put together to force the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Kiowa, and Comanche south of the river. They're south of Dodge. It escapes me at the moment.
Like
the Arkansas?
No, the Arkansas River.
I was going to say the Arkansas.
Right. So the expedition starts from Dodge City and travels down through the beautiful scenery of southwest Kansas and then into Indian Territory and down to about where Fort Supply was later established a couple of months later. This particular, one of the reasons that I wound up doing this book was to more or less put the commander of this expedition in a better light than other writers and historians have given him credit for. His name was Lieutenant Colonel Alfred Sully. Now, his daddy was actually a renowned early American artist, portrait painter. He took up, they sent him to West Point instead, so he wouldn't become a starving artist.
Yeah.
And he was the commander of that particular region. So the troops that he had available were one company of the 3rd Infantry, which just happened to be commanded by Captain Page of the previous book, and most of the companies of the 7th U.S. Cavalry. Without George Custer, because George had been court-martialed the year before for things unbecoming of an officer, and he had been not kicked out of the Army, but sent home for a year or so to cool his heels.
Go think about what you did.
Yeah. So he was later recalled for the winter campaign of 68 and 69, but that's another story. Sully takes the troops and he moves down, and they have several encounters with the tribes as they're pushing the Indians south of the Arkansas and the Cimarron. The Indians were holding him up with delay tactics, hit and run attacks, and things like that. And basically, when they got down to where Fort Supply would later be built, it had been a week on the trail of marching in the heat and the dust and continuous fighting, and lo and behold, they were running low on ammunition. So they decided to return back up north to Fort Dodge and regroup and resupply. And I found there's two takes on Mr. Sully, and one was some of the members of the 7th Cavalry weren't too happy with him. He happened to be riding in a horse-drawn ambulance most of the time because he was of advanced age and his arthritis was bothering him. But when they were attacked, he'd get on his horse and lead the troops. So he was also, when one looks at his record, he was actually a more accomplished commander of troops against American Indians than George Custer obviously ever was. Mm-hmm. And so I would find that historians often took the view that, well, he had failed, because that's one of the things that reached the newspapers. But when you look at some of his commanding officers and other people, they were actually, vindicated him for, he didn't run away from or didn't get beat. He just ran out of ammo and went north to resupply. He had a whole plan to come back down, and then General Sheridan stole the plan from him and took all the credit.
Oh. See, I haven't read this book yet, so this is all interesting and new to me.
Yes. Well, I had an interesting encounter on Facebook the other day. There's a gentleman in England that I know, and he buys my books.
Yeah, yeah.
But he is a historian. He comes to the United States every year and travels around to historic sites. And he had mentioned that he'd bought the book, and several people had commented, is it worth reading? And I'm sitting there reading the comments, and I'm thinking, should I comment? But I chickened out.
You chickened out. You should have. You want me to comment for you? I'm good for that.
Yeah, no, but I don't need that grief right now.
That's true. That's true. I get you.
You should put that as a quote.
No, not really.
Bob doesn't have a website.
I have a website for the art, but not the writing. I just kind of,
Oh, you have a website for your art? On Facebook or like an actual website?
No, it's on Facebook. I'm sorry. I'm not computer literate.
That's okay, but it's
a certain degree.
Well, it's a page, so it is a way to promote it. Mm-hmm. It's an unofficial website, I guess you'd say.
And I will put in blurbs on the Fort Supply web page, our Facebook page, and
well, and I'm like Bob's best sales lady. I'll be like, you're interested in the Fort Supply side? I'm like, let me show you some books we have in our gift shop.
There you go.
And then note that I designed the front covers of several of these, but mostly Bob's art. That's what I was making him. I told him, if you're gonna want me to design the cover of this last one, you need to draw something for it, because you've got that talent. You need to. And he did, and then we went back and forth, and we came up with a really great design. I think it's very catching. And
well, other than the museum gift shop,
it's on Amazon.
They're all on Amazon, right?
Yes, yes. And actually, this book, according to the Amazon page, is doing better than the other books, but it's probably because it has to deal with the 7th Cavalry.
Right. Well, it could be the subject matter is interesting to people. And then you also, and we have to take this into consideration, in the title, it has Prelude to the Washita, the amount of people that are probably Googling Washita.
Yes. Especially this time of year. So
finding your book.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always fun marketing stuff, you know?
And for those of you who will be looking up on Amazon to try to find Bob's books, his last name is spelled a little unusually.
It's spelled correctly.
Okay.
He would say that.
So it would be just Bob, and then Ray is R-E-A. So
yes,
make it easier for you to find.
Yeah. And he's got 4, right? 4 books up there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Working on a 5th. I am awfully slow. I've only been working on the 5th book for over 30 years.
Holy cow.
But, you know, it takes time to produce a masterpiece.
That's true. It's true. Well, and a lot of the research you've done on all these books you did in the last 30 years. Correct?
Oh, yeah. When I worked for the Historical Society.
You worked for Oklahoma Historical Society. And so now that he's retired and can have the time to actually sit down and write, people don't realize, like, writing it's time consuming. It really is. And especially when you're having to format and do endnotes and all that fun.
Right. If I had a better imagination, I would write fiction because it's easier.
That's so
the endnotes
true.
are killing me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could just pass you my dreams. You could write stories about that. I'm telling you, they're there. You want to get into squirrels and all that. It gets wild. She says, write a book.
Okay.
He's like, working on it.
Okay. So thank you, Bob. We appreciate the update and what you're up to these days. But I kind of want to move back to something Mikey hinted at before. You made some snide comment about
did I?
Titles we have for our podcast.
Oh, yeah. Well, some of the titles they're very catching, but they maybe don't give the, viewer, reader, let me see, listener, better yet, the view that it is, based in the humanities.
Oh.
Is all I was saying.
Let's get naked and rob a convenience store?
Yeah, what's creative about doing that? That's just stuff people do. Getting naked and rob stuff. But I wasn't saying it as a bad thing. I'm just saying that sometimes, reading the titles may be a little bit, well, I would never say that. I would never say annoying. But yeah, so Bob's is confusing. Or the word that I'm trying to say that's eluding me that I can't think of.
Fecalfied?
Yeah.
I'm making up words all the time. No, it's whenever it's deceiving. A little deceiving. That's the word.
Really?
It's a little deceptive.
So do I need to start
no, I don't
passing the titles through you?
No, absolutely not, because I'm the worst at naming anything.
Okay.
But like poetry and pink ponies, I mean, I guess that may sound creative because poetry's in the title. Or like it would fall into the humanities. That's all I'm saying.
Which has actually been a fairly popular episode, by the way.
Well, everybody wants to know about the pink ponies.
Yeah.
See, and that's what I'm saying. These are good things because sometimes the titles is probably what's driving people to listen to them. So I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that maybe people don't realize they get in there and they're like, oh, this is not what I thought this was going to be about at all. But then they're hooked and they can't stop listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And by the way, Mikey, do you know the all-time #1 download episode?
Well, I feel like I have the cheat. Okay, yeah.
Episode 10, True Confessions of a Sam Spade Wannabe. That was me talking about being a PI and working in the intelligence community. That is our #1 download.
Yep. So what is it about that everybody wanted to listen?
Oh, they were probably trying to pick up tips.
So is everybody's slightly predisposition to be a PI, like whether you actually like do it or not? Because we're just like curious, like little cats and shit.
Yeah.
We want to know everything and all that, and it was like, oh, listen to that, and I'll know how to be more curious. don't know.
And then episode 8, I married a stock market maven. That you were in the top 10, but for downloads.
Oh.
You were just outside of number 5, actually, Bob.
Yeah, but Veronica beat you.
Veronica beat you.
Yeah, see, nope. Everybody wants to know how to make money.
Well,
Yeah.
I was wondering, it was because when I started my spiel on this podcast, the dogs had been up running around, and all of a sudden they lay down and went to sleep.
Oh, you think you had something to do with that?
What the hell?
Oh, you're far more interesting than you give yourself credit for, Bob, I promise. Number 3 was White Thunder Cheyenne Holy Man.
Yeah. With
which
our friend
D. Cordry. Actually, it's Bob's friend that we stole, but then gave back to Bob.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
It took him a long time to write his book, too.
No, it did.
But it's a lot bigger. It could be used as a door weight.
It really could. You're right. It is a lot bigger. Number 2 was Listen Locally.
Oh, that was when
Which
we
was
had
the
guy
first
from
one.
9 Left Dead.
Yeah, 9 Left Dead.
Travis
Jones.
There you go.
He's got such a rock star name.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Travis Jones with 9 Left Dead. I'm like, what'd you do with the other 50,000? So, and then the episode 1, This Is Who We Are, actually came in at number 4 shows.
Uh-huh.
So our very first one.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Everybody was interested, and then they all fell off. Now these freaks were done.
Yeah. And in between, we've had such gripping titles as Ghouls Rule, Mortals Drool. And who could forget Naked Weirdness at Waffle House?
Yeah, who could
We like
forget
to
that?
pick on Waffle House a lot. And I think our next guest actually had an experience at the Waffle House in Oklahoma City just the day before yesterday.
Yeah, we're going to have to get
Oh, was
all the lowdown on that.
Yeah.
We'll have to get all the lowdown. But I think before we get to the lowdown on the Waffle House, that we should go ahead and chat with Candy, our other one.
Okay.
And then we want to keep the listeners in anticipation of the Waffle House shenanigans that Veronica so lovingly experienced.
Okay. All right. Let's hold up here. Do you have her number?
Yeah, let me give it to you. I'm just saying that because I told her a specific time. And
Oh, okay.
And then I texted her and was like, hey, it's probably going to be between 4 and 5.
I'm sorry. Go back to bed. Put your head down.
I'm going to share her contact with you.
Okay.
I'm good right now. Thank you.
I can tell she's not okay.
Yeah, Bobby, you know me so well. I'm okay, but you're not so sure.
So did you drive all the way from California for this?
Drive.
No, that's okay.
Not this time.
Hello.
Well, hi, Candy. How?
Can you hear me?
I definitely can. Robin, can you hear her? That's the real
I can
question.
absolutely hear her.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're kind of pulling some old guests from some of our old podcasts throughout the year since this is our anniversary show. But really, Candy hasn't been she's one of our newer ones.
Mm-hmm.
She was navigating the Google verse, which dropped on November 1st. So, Candy, have you learned more about Google since then? I feel like you're always learning everything all the time.
Well, I still get up and put my pants on one leg at a time, but it seems like people, are stopping me in the streets and asking me Google questions.
Oh,
So there's always an opportunity to learn something new, whether it be a solution or a new type of problem.
Yeah, you never know, right? It's one or the other. And sometimes it's both.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And some of the questions people have, I don't always have the answer,
Yeah.
but I'm willing to explore it with them.
Oh, good. Good.
And
So,
I bet the Google helps with that.
yeah.
You
So
know?
would you...
I'd be Googling the weirdest stuff. I mean, if somebody looked, just to put this out there, if anybody looked at what I Google on a daily basis, they'd be like, who is this person? I'm sure they think that anyhow, but I ask it some serious questions.
So do you think you're on the list somewhere?
I was just about to say that.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, Candy, would you say that your appearance on this
Train wreck of a podcast
has had a positive effect on your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I now am very conscious about what I say on live recordings.
She's like, I learned a very valuable lesson. Don't just word vomit out your mouth. No, you didn't do that.
Well, thought to mouth, it can always be difficult to navigate when you're dealing with the public. But no, I had a great experience, and I can't wait to come back in the future if you guys will have me.
Oh,
yeah, and we'll have you a different way because we won't ask you about Google. We'll ask you about some other, one of your other like master classes.
And speaking, and as long as we're on that subject, is there any updates on work being done in the theater?
Yeah, we're very curious.
Oh, yeah. Over Christmas or before Christmas, during the Christmas parade, I guess I should say, we did a small fundraiser and we were able to raise some matching funds to start work on our restroom upstairs.
Oh, great.
Right now, right now we have to trek downstairs, and which always proves the point of why we need one upstairs. And so we're pretty excited about those fundraising efforts. And also, the projector room, it had become a catch-all. And so we got it all cleaned up, and now we're starting to talk more about the elements that we want to showcase in the original projector room and kind of turn that into a tour destination.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, that'd be really
very
cool.
So it'd be kind of a mini museum inside there.
Sure, yeah. The building will be 100 years old in 2029.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's gone through several stages in its life cycle, and we're just, it's on the historic register, so we want to make sure that we keep certain aspects open to the public. But sometimes they need freshened up, and so that's really what I'm working on right now, is freshening up those display areas that we actually bring the public into.
Okay.
And she's doing a fine job at the watch party after the Christmas watch party, then the Christmas parade watch party. Let me add all the words in there. I went to the after party, and some of those spaces you had kind of freshened up to be able to host those things, and you guys were working on the bathroom up there, and it was a great little hosting space. And I actually remade some appetizers that I had experienced at your little party today for us here. So that's really cool, little extra piece of info. But you're doing awesome things down there, Candy, and like people are seeing it and recognizing, and I think it's just going to keep growing for you, and people will keep wanting to support what you're doing to open those spaces up.
What occurs to me is we haven't even talked about what we're talking about here, really.
Wait, what are we talking about that we're
talking about the Woodward Arts Theater, or the full name is Woodward Arts Theater Council, WATSI. And
you sounded all like kind of mad about that WATSI, like, whoa.
I throw that out at people sometimes.
They don't know.
Stare at me like,
same.
What's wrong with you?
It's like when we say pip 'em.
But that theater has a very fascinating history because it was built, as you pointed out, in 1929. And the money man who came in there and was financing it all insisted that they put an orchestra pit in the place, because he figured talking movies were just a fad. They would go away. Mm-hmm. And he was big about it. He wanted, to be vaudeville or live shows or whatever.
Live performance could still happen when movies weren't.
And the theater showed films, if I'm not mistaken, all the way into the early 80s. And before it closed down, and then was reopened as a new live arts venue. And it's a pretty special place. I can't tell you how many Saturdays of my youth in that thing, usually sitting back up under the balcony trying to make out with some other 7th grade girl that
that didn't want you.
Oh, now that's just mean.
I'm just kidding.
But watching those Saturday matinees, because you could get in there. I think we'd go in at 1 o'clock, and it was 4 or 5 in the afternoon before we came out. It was just a great place to go hang out and spend a
Well, and it's just got great energy. When I went to the anniversary show with the great Dubois, am I saying that right? It was magical. It was a great experience, and I'm like, why is not every seat in this place filled? And some of it, I think, is just some of the culture. People don't appreciate live performance as some of us do, just because I don't think that they were introduced to it at a young age. And I feel like that's something Candy's trying to break through that barrier and work with schools and be able to showcase live theater, or with arts camp, and getting kids in there to experience those things and then make those decisions to come to those shows on their own when they're old enough,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those situations, if you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly.
It's kind of like your podcast. If you, the hardest sell is getting someone to listen to it for the first time.
Yeah, because once they do, they can't look back. They're hooked. Yeah.
They just keep, when are you issuing another one? When's the next podcast episode?
Yeah, so you guys have really hit the nail on the head. The location of the theater, of course, is in the heart of downtown.
Yep.
And, it's an 18,000 square foot facility and 4 stories. So it's a big project. But my favorite thing is how many people will stop me and say, oh, I heard you're, managing the theater, or, hey, I heard there was a show at the theater. And then they start telling me all of their memories and just like Robin, have a connection to the theater. And, people just love to tell you how much they love the theater. So, since COVID, we really had a hard time really getting people to come back to the theater, just to get it back on their radar. And that's really what our focus has been for the last, 3 years, is to get people to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get them walking through the door and get that experience and that feeling back. And boy, that's the biggest hurdle, I think, is just getting them in that door. But once you do, it sells itself.
What's kind of interesting, back when I was running the museum, before Mikey ran me out.
Well, you're still my assistant.
But we had that huge Smithsonian exhibit that came through, and we had that in the views, but we were under an obligation to do more out in the community.
Right, because it was like a community partners type thing.
Right. So I set up, I think we showed 5 movies inside the theater there, and we set those up. They were consecutive Saturdays. And, the first couple, we didn't get a whole lot of people, but I think the next 2, there was considerably more. And my memory may be fuzzy, but I seem to think that on that last weekend, we actually did just about fill that. And it was a lot of the same people just kept coming back. It was kind of a
they
kind of a cool
figured
thing.
out it was happening.
Yeah,
enjoyed it, and then told their friends and come back themselves.
Yeah. But I know I know trying to, sell a live arts sort of venue in this area can be very tough.
Yeah. And just finding, performers or productions that are willing to travel to the area.
Yeah.
And it is about consistency. It's a lot of people in Northwest Oklahoma travel on the weekends because we work hard all week. And then so we might travel out of the area to go shopping or see relatives or friends and family. And so, we're trying to change it up here and there, maybe have something during the week, and then on the weekends, But the other thing is, to diversify what we offer to the public. And part of that process has been, making sure the public knows that we do rent the spaces to the public and for special events and occasions. And that also gets people in the facilities that might not normally stop by.
Right.
And so that exposure is always good. But that's really what we're working on right now, is making sure that those spaces are open back up and functioning for public use.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are interested in renting the spaces at the Woodward Arts Theater and the Josie Adams Cultural Center, you can do both or one or the other, if I'm not mistaken. Lots of people have got married at the Arts Theater. If that's something you're into, that's always an option, and other things. But it is a great space, and it hosts many different things, or it can host many different things. I mean, it's kind of like whatever you want it to be. So, and it's historic, and it's got that old school vintagey feel. And if you're into that, I encourage you
they have
to
that
reach out.
Huge chandelier.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. If that's what you're going for, that's the place to go. And even if you aren't, it's helping them continue in their mission as well, because they do rent that and they get, money for doing that. And that helps in keeping the place up to par and going and their mission and bringing the arts to Northwest Oklahoma.
Candy,
live.
do you have an email that people could request information or?
Yes, it's Woodward Arts Theater, and that's theater RE at gmail.com.
Okay. All right.
Well, great, Candy. Thank you so much for
checking in.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Taking the time to speak with us and talking a little bit more about the Arts Theater. And you and I have been talking about how we get people going to all places, Arts Theater, museum, and vice versa. And I look forward to continuing what we're all doing to promote the arts and culture and history in Northwest Oklahoma. So thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, and thanks for having me.
And one last thing. Would you say that Mr. Robin looks like a young John Wayne?
Oh, well, I don't know. Can you say that one line from the Cowboys? My favorite line for John Wayne. Slap some bacon on a biscuit and let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
Slap some bacon on a biscuit and let's go.
Yep. I would say possibly a young John Wayne.
Excellent.
That's all he wanted all day, Candy.
All right, Candy. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Jeez. I almost had a with less hair, but then I was like, well.
Oh, yeah. I left that part off.
You started that part.
I know. Did you share that with her, by the way?
Yes. Yeah, I gave her a heads up because I needed to.
And now, in the hot seat.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
Live from Los Angeles, California.
Well, no, she's actually here, though. She's not live from LA.
Right.
She is live here in Oklahoma, visiting from LA.
Where the hell is she?
Where'd she go? Is she coming around?
Go to the bathroom.
No, she came out, didn't she?
No, she's out. We're just waiting.
Oh, okay.
In true fashion, she's making us wait. She chickened out.
Here she is.
Doing LA and it makes you wait.
Straight off her private jet at Woodward Airfield.
They don't call it that.
No, it's West Woodward, isn't it? It's West Woodward.
I don't even know the name of it. I just know it's not that. Does Brett know?
Google that.
Google it. Google.
I think it's West Woodward Airport.
Is it? The Woodward AAF is what Bob says. The Woodward F.
Army Air Force?
Army Airfield.
Oh.
Yeah, they tried.
That was, they built that it started as a training base.
Leave the be off.
Interesting.
Yeah. Woodward Airport. Yeah.
I
Oh,
was right.
you're right. Oh, my bad. KWWR. So West Woodward Airport. Okay, well, you're right. Mhm. Give yourself the little fake applause and shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
So,
Veronica.
Veronica.
Wait, let me turn up your mic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, nobody's gonna hear what you had to say at all, Bob. No. He says they're probably better all off for it.
So, well, first of all, we sure appreciate you coming all the way to
Woodward, Oklahoma. Wait,
Gilligan's
Fargo,
Island,
Oklahoma.
as I'd like to call it.
It was quite
Gilligan's
the journey.
Island.
Well,
It is a
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
to be part of this first anniversary podcast. So when we last talked to you, you were kind of talking about the business that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
that you refuse to name. And that's okay. That's okay.
We'll allow it.
You also corrected me that you are not a caterer.
Yeah, no, that was my past life.
Yeah, okay.
She's upgraded.
Yeah. So what's new in your life, Veronica?
Well, first I have to say congrats on 1 year.
Yeah,
No,
that's
thank you.
that's hell of an
Thank you.
accomplishment, right?
Yeah. And second, I have to maybe take credit because you said that one of your top episodes was your PI.
Oh, it was number one
So did that episode happen before or after you talked to me?
Before.
before.
But
Oh,
only a
damn.
few. But only a few. See, he was 10 and you
Okay. Because I was going to say I mentioned your sketchy jobs.
No.
On my
No,
episode, so I was thinking I reeled the people in and I
No,
was going to
she's
ask for
right.
a cut.
She's right.
What?
She was 7 and you were 10.
Oh,
I was looking the other way. No. You're
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
You came
see?
before.
So,
See?
yeah, you're welcome. Mhm.
You owe her. We owe her, Mr. Robin.
You can speak to my agent, but
Well, he's left.
So I'll share the story about the sketchy, she calls it.
yeah.
So in a previous job that I had before, I was doing, well, actually I was kind of doing the PI thing simultaneously with the, well, never mind,
With the job.
with the job. So
You were
in
doing
that
two
job,
jobs.
my handler gave me an envelope, had $20,000 in cash in it.
Because that's not weird
No,
at all.
not at all. Yeah, people just hand
Yeah.
me $20,000 in cash all the
Yeah.
time, Robin.
My job was to drive from,
My job was to drive, but I am selling drugs.
no,
I know,
from
but
Washington,
sounds like
D.C.
it.
up to New Jersey. I had to go to, huh? Oh,
Huh?
that's a mistake.
No,
So anyway,
she's
losing it.
muttering
so
under her breath over there.
so I head up to New Jersey. And my job was to go into like every Best Buy, Office Depot, any place else,
Like, you want this 20,000?
and
Was the juice worth the squeeze? I'm
Very
just
good
curious.
question. That is a legit question.
funny.
Yeah.
That
This
sounds
coming
terrible.
from my daughter. So, but I was buying up HP laptops, and there was a lot of really weird experiences doing that because at one point it was right before Christmas, and this manager comes out from the back because his salesperson had said, "Hey, this guy wants to buy like 16 of this particular model, and it's going to take our entire inventory." So I had to get into a discussion with the manager of the store about why I was taking his entire inventory of this particular model of laptop.
Like, why would you ask me that? I'm buying all your shit.
Yeah, literally. Do you want the business
Exactly.
or not? Is what I'm
Exactly,
thinking.
that was my point.
I know this is weird, but I want all
But
your
this is
shit.
probably the shit that he learns in training.
Right.
You know, like look out for these weirdos that are trying to buy our whole inventory of laptops.
So, so anyway, I get all of the laptops, drive back home to Northern Virginia, and I had them. It was going to be a couple of days before I could go back into the office and drop this stuff. So I stacked them all up on the dining room table in our house, and it went from the table all the way to the ceiling. And Veronica shows up, and she walks in there. She walks in there and sees all of these laptops stacked up on this table. And what did you say?
Something along the lines of like, what kind of sketchy shit is this?
Or, what kind of sketchy shit are you involved in?
Yeah.
Well,
Because now I'm an accomplice. That's the problem.
Yeah, she's like, what?
That's what I really cared about.
So anyway, that's the.
At least she has her head screwed on straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was worried about being an accomplice to you and your stacks of laptops. I don't blame her.
Oh, it was a freaking nightmare. Because
For me, if it was like my dad, it'd be like just bags of drugs. What are you doing?
But back then, you could still call and register, like computers, you could call a number and register these things with Microsoft. So you didn't have to do stuff online, and they did not want those computers going online. So it was, it's a long.
See, that sounds sketchy in itself. I got this computer, but I don't want it to go online.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with
So
it?
you call that number, and somebody answers, and you give them the serial number of the laptop, and they give you a code, and you input it, and it's registered. See how that works?
I want to know what went through your head while you were doing these tasks.
Yeah.
Were you not like, this could go terribly wrong?
Yeah.
Well, I tried to avoid doing that. I did have kind of a funny thing. I had bought so many at one, I think it was a Best Buy where's Princeton?
In New Jersey.
Well, I know that I was in Jersey. What was the city? You remember?
Princeton.
To the Google.
Google.
But I was there, and I had one of the flat dolly kind of carts, just stacked up with these stupid computers, and I'm rolling it out the door, and I'm thinking, finally, this is the last bunch. I can get out of here. And I go down off the sidewalk. It was they had a ramp, and I go down off the sidewalk onto the parking lot, and the stack of laptops became unstable and fell over.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's a disaster.
So now I'm gathering up all these laptops before somebody comes along and runs one over. And some guy comes up to me and goes, "What are you doing, man? What are you doing with all these computers?" And I said, "Oh, well, I'm taking them back to Virginia, and I'm setting up a computer lab in a high school." Really? Yeah.
Oh, why would you? I have so many questions. If I was like, I'm like, why did you come to Jersey to buy all of these if it's just a computer lab in a high school?
Is near Western.
Okay.
So, where were we going with that? Oh, yeah. What are you doing that's new now?
No.
We got flashback.
He's like alluding it back to,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Talk less about
let's talk about your sketchy job. It's not sketchy at all, actually. What have I been up to?
Setting up a lab room in
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
No.
I just finished up a crazy busy holiday season. That's always a rip and roaring time.
Yeah.
But you're not kidding.
Lots of good stories there.
It's event planning.
No, event planning.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
plans the events and then she hires
I hire the
caterers.
caterer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
so much
yeah.
more when you plan the event. than
Yes.
just catering it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Catering's hard work.
It is
but
hard work.
Yeah.
But planning the whole event is a
Yeah. Yeah.
little extra in itself.
Yeah.
'Cause you have all the moving pieces, and then you're relying on these caterers to not fuck this shit up.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
All the cheap customers.
Yeah. We had, I'm trying to think if anything crazy. Well, we had one kind of crazy thing happen this year. It's always something.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never fail.
No. So our client wanted to have a strolling blackjack table. And the whole point of this table was because the building was super secure. And so people had to stand out and wait in the lobby to be let in. So we didn't want people to get upset that they had to wait to get in. So we thought, okay, we'll entertain them with a magician and a strolling blackjack table. Yeah. And it was a casino theme.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to the event because it was in another state. I had a colleague covering the event for me.
Right.
And Yeah. And so they called me and they're like, I'm really confused. The blackjack table is here, ? And I'm like, what do you mean? Send me a picture. What's going on?
Yeah.
It was, so usually the strolling blackjack table is supposed to be a big table with a strap that hangs around their neck, and it's like literally the size of a blackjack table.
No kidding.
Yeah. They sent a tiny desktop blackjack table with chips that were smaller than a dime and little playing cards that were like, and I'm like, what is that?
Like, I know it's almost Christmas and all, but I didn't want a kid toy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also, I want to get inside the head of the person that, purchased said table to sell it to me. Did they think they were getting a steal, that it was like a blackjack table that was $5? So, yeah, that was super embarrassing. So I had to break that to the client. But other than that, nothing super crazy happened. Our company just we hit our annual goal for the year.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So now we're working on our stretch goal so we can go to the Amalfi Coast.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have a cousin that lives there.
What?
Yeah.
I've never heard this.
Deanne's son.
Yeah, she did say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's basically it. Nothing crazy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, any wild stories to tell us from Waffle House?
Oh, God.
Yeah, we got to hear about this because we've been trying to make a plan to go there at 3 a.m. and stuff. Just so we can get in on the crazy, or maybe we will be the crazy. We haven't decided.
Yeah, the Waffle House is a magical place,
isn't it?
Yeah. When I was going to school in Tuscaloosa, there wasn't a ton to do there. So one of the biggest forms of entertainment was heading to Waffle House at any hour of the night, any level of sobriety or not sobriety. Yeah.
Entertainment for all.
Yeah. And
all levels.
it's just all reliable in my opinion. It's like the in and out of the Midwest and the South, in my opinion.
There you go.
And of breakfast.
Yeah. So do you want to hear what we ordered? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So, there was a couple things that I learned. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to the menu a lot of the time when I was there because I was super sober. There's different ways that you can top your hash browns. Did you know this? Okay.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know that I've ever got the extra on the hash
Oh
brown.
yeah. There's a whole list. So Jason ordered, I'll send it to you. So Jason ordered hash browns and he said, can I have them, what was it? Smothered, covered, and chunked. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
And you're like, what are you saying?
Yeah. So smothered, you can top them with sauteed onions.
Okay.
Covered means they're laying under a sweet, sweet blanket of American cheese.
Oh.
And then the chunked, which they got to come up with a better name for that, is chunks of ham.
Oh.
So then you take it all and you mix it together, and I'm not a mixing food kind of person, but...
Well, then you would have hated what Brett and I ate for lunch.
Yeah, so...
Leftover Cafe Garcia that we just chopped up and cooked up everything in one bit.
Oh, I cannot.
It looked like something that you would... somebody died and you're looking at the contents of their stomach. That's what...
God, see, that's what I'm
so
picturing. Good. That's exactly why I can't mix my food, okay? Yeah.
And then
we... Yeah. No, and those types of meals spark a lot of debate. For example, we were having a long debate about whether you should, let me just ask you both. I want your opinion on this. Okay. Settle this for me. When you are given toast with your breakfast, what do you do with said toast?
It kind of depends for me what I've ordered for breakfast. If I have eggs over easy, then I'm probably going to stick one of my pieces of toast in it, and then the other toast I'm going to put jelly on, and usually strawberry because that's my favorite outside of raspberry, but they don't have that one. So
okay.
But yeah, I'm going to stick mine somewhere. was just saying.
I'm a
a
dry
weirdo.
toast person.
Okay. It's all checking out and making sense.
There you go.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
We had this whole debate because Jason mixed together all of his chunks,
and
smothered,
then he put it on the
and
toast
then
and ate it.
took the toast,
Yeah.
created a little boat, and put the mix of what looked like someone's insides onto the toast, and I was completely grossed out. So thank you. You've settled my debate. You got the answer right.
I lose. I would have ate what Jason ate. But
Now, here's the real question. So, do they have grits at the?
I ordered grits.
did you?
They said, would you like hash browns or grits? I said, grits. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like both.
they
for
have
sure.
the world's best grits.
Yeah.
In my grits, I like bacon and cheese. I want it to be smothered and covered.
Lots of
and
butter.
Chunked. I want everything in my grits.
So we've all learned something new about Waffle House.
Yeah. I attempted to ask them if they had non-dairy milk, but I decided not to do that because I realized I wasn't in LA. And so I was like, never mind. I'll just deal with the cream and I'll survive.
They probably would have looked at you like, what do you mean?
Yeah. What does that mean? So,
All right.
well,
Food was good.
I have something for you guys.
Oh.
This is
Wait, first, since you were so freaked out earlier and skeptical, what do you think it is? Let's play a good, fun game. Let's
Ooh.
guess.
What do you think it is? I think it's M&M's.
Oh, that's a good guess. I bought M&M's yesterday, but no, they're not.
What do you think it is?
Have no idea. I just keep thinking maybe my daughter's seeking revenge.
Maybe
lack of
she
care.
brought us leftover Waffle House.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
But it's obviously
I would
not
like to
that.
present this to you.
oh. Holy cow.
Oh, it's
that-
You have to read it.
It's a
Golden
trophy.
microphone, yeah.
A golden microphone
Mm-hmm.
trophy.
And there's a plaque on the front that says 1 year of service.
I thought
Mr. Robin's Hood podcast.
That's wonderful.
Oh, that
this is the part where you salute the 1 year of service. I thought that was a real smart ass thing to put on there.
Yeah.
Salute.
Salute.
Yeah.
Well, because nobody makes it past 7 episodes, so
Yeah.
we made it a whole year. Damn it,
What was her name? Sean.
Sean. Can't remember her last name. From the
He's from Romp.
Romp,
The,
Rural Oklahoma Museum of Poetry.
and they do this podcast. Actually, I think, well, no, they've just been doing it for a long time. I think it's once a month, but,
Yeah.
and we met up with her in the state capitol, actually, and talked with her a little bit. And at that time, I think we were maybe 5 or 6 episodes
Probably,
in
yeah.
or something. And what did she tell us? If you make it past 8,
It was like, yeah, 8 or 9. If you make it past 8 or 9 or something
Yeah.
like that,
you're probably going to make it.
then
I believe it. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Where did you find a place in LA?
Oh, Etsy girl. And you can do anything on the internet. I was like, hey, I'm going to order this. I need this by this weekend. And I don't think she realized that I meant it had to get to Fargo, Oklahoma. So in my head, I'm like, wow, good luck. And so she's like, you got to order it by this time or whatever. And so, yeah, it made it.
It's
Oh,
beautiful.
this is really awesome.
That's
So
wonderful.
very
So welcome. Yeah.
Definitely not what I thought. I don't know that I ever would have guessed you got a 1 year service trophy.
Yeah.
That we made it.
We made it.
Look at us.
There
and
you
then
go.
and then next week we shut it all down.
Right. Right.
And then
Like,
fight
we're
over-
done.
Fight over who gets it.
Yeah, who gets the
Yeah.
trophy? I'm gonna split it in half. You get that part.
Oh, we need help with the chicken.
Yeah, we need help.
We gotta go.
We're gonna have to wrap this up.
Okay, so give us a second, okay?
Yeah, we're almost done.
All right. Thank you for coming out here and
Yes.
doing this, Veronica. We sure.
It's always a pleasure to have
So
you,
welcome.
Veronica.
See y'all later.
Oh,
See, peace. She's out. She's getting back in her Missouri tagged rental. I'm from Missouri.
so that's it, Mikey. We hope you folks conveniently listen at home or in your car enjoyed that. We'll be back in 2025 with more really great content. And in fact, we've been threatening for some time now to move to video podcasting, and I think we're finally there. Stay tuned. If you have any questions for either Mikey or myself about today's episode or any other darn thing, you can email us at mr.robin@mrrobinshood.com or Mikey@mrrobinshood.com. Also, you can find us on Facebook at Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast. As always, you can also reach out to Mikey or me via Podophone, 580-827-0472. Maybe you just want to get something off your chest, or you're feeling some butt pain because of something we said during the podcast.
Or maybe something our guest said, and that's not our fault.
Yeah. We can pin it on them.
Yeah.
Give us a call. And you can leave a voicemail. Text us if you have a question, concern, complaint, compliment, suggestion, whatever. Just don't be a dick about it. In the meantime, tell all your friends to listen to this podcast as though their lives depend on it. As always, you can stream or download episodes of Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast wherever you usually find that sort of nonsense. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, the Podbean app, Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Listen Notes, and Podchaser. You can also stream them directly from our Podbean website at mrrobinshoodpodcast.podbean.com for free.
For free.
So we'll close now by reminding everyone, as we always do,
to stay hungry, stay foolish, and most importantly, stay weird.
We love you. See you in the next year.
Yes.
Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast.
Who is this?
Why, this is Mr. Robin of Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast. Who's this?
Is Mikey there? I called to talk to Mikey-on-the-Mic.
Sorry. This is Mikey. Who is this?
What are you wearing?
Really? Here, I'll pass you back to Robin. Save me from this freak, Robin.
What's she wearing?
Okay, that's enough of that nonsense. Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast.
Am I the correct caller?
I don't know. Are you? This isn't a radio contest.
So, am I on?
Yes, you are. Is there something you'd like to say to our podcast audience, or Mikey or me?
Yeah, you suck.
Can we stop taking calls now? Why are we even doing this?
Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast, you're live with Mr. Robin and Mikey.
Hey, Mr. Robin, it's Phil from Kansas City. Longtime listener, first-time caller. I've got a burning question for you and Mikey.
Oh, God.
What's on your mind, my friend?
Okay. Hear me out. You think it's acceptable for a grown man to eat 5 bowls of cereal in one sitting? I'm asking for a friend.
Well, this friend sounds like a champion, or maybe just a dude who's really into his breakfast game. What kind of cereal are we talking about?
Oh, it's not just any cereal. We're talking organic super sugar pup bombs. You know, the good stuff.
Okay, Phil, here's my take. If you're enjoying it and not regretting your life choices after bowl number 3, then who's to judge? I would, however, suggest you pace yourself, brother. Don't want you waking up in a sugar coma.
You know what? You're right, Mr. Robin. Maybe I'll cut it down to 4 bowls next time. Thanks for the life advice. You're the best. Oh, and one more thing. You suck!
Bluetooth for some reason.
You never listen to me, do you?
No, I don't. Okay, we have time for one more call.
I feel like I'm back at 102.3 on the Friday Night Free For All.
Mr. Robin, I think my cat is angry with me. Hello, are you there? Are you speaking to me in a special language? You know I'm following you, don't you?
Period. Read the fucking script. Okay, let's try that. Try that from the top. Mr. Robin.
Hello?
Mr.
Mr. Robin, you there?
Yes.
I can't hear you no more.
Forget it. Just forget it.
This is Doubtfire.
Here we go.
Get away. Okay.
Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast. Who dis?
Mr. Robin. I think my cat is angry with me.
And why do you think that, my friend?
Well, I didn't let her take my lasagna. She's a little bitch, you know. Now she's been sitting on the couch, staring at me like she knows all my secrets.
Mr. Robin, allow me to step in here, please. Cats always know your secrets. My advice, give her a little treat, a pat on the skull, and a heartfelt apology. Cats are like royalty. They forgive, but they never forget. And I should know how for.
I hate cats, Mikey. But thanks, Mikey. I'm off to negotiate with her now.
There, you see, Mr. Robin, that's how you handle live call-ins. Listen to the problem and offer a viable solution to their situation.
Yeah.